Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from keyboardimprov.com, and welcome to our journey through the real book number 248, which is the great song, My Romance by Rodgers and Hart. Notice I said song, not tune, because in all these jazz piano lessons, we're looking how to get into these jazz standards in a little deeper way than notes on the page or even the world of jazz. I went like that. The world of jazz is not a small little world, but it's huge. But within the context of these songs, it's not the whole thing. It's part of it. So Rodgers and Hart were not jazz songwriters. They were popular songwriters, Broadway songwriters. And in those days, in the 30s, 40s, Broadway and pop music were sort of intertwined, right? And jazz was too. So you had, it's almost like pop music is this circle, and Broadway is here, and jazz is here, and where they overlap, that's where a lot of this stuff comes from. There is an overlap, but in interpretation. But this wasn't written for jazz musicians. This was written for Broadway singers to sing. So basically, it's a great tune, and you should go back and listen to some non-jazz recordings. Find some pop songs of the recordings of the day, or a Broadway sort of type singing, and it might be more like a ballad. Or like a two-feel. One, two. Yep, but maybe with some strings. Done. Has a lushness about it. And a lot of jazz musicians back in the day would have been listening to these because they were all over. They were on the radio, they went to a restaurant, they heard somebody singing like this. So Miles Davis or Charlie Parker, they had this lyricism. Even when they were playing bebop, when they were playing the melodies of these type tunes, or Bill Evans, they had a lyricism that is kind of disappearing unless we go back and listen to either older sort of lyrical recordings of these or more contemporary ones, with people still singing it like that. It's really important to do that. And also getting a vocal tone from the piano, as if the music's coming out of us. Not really talked about enough, really. We talk about the notes, or books talk about the notes, right? Or videos, these are the notes to play. But to really sing it, you don't even have to learn the lyrics. Right? But if you do know lyrics, castles in Spain, it kind of has these associations of, wow, my romance is as wonderful as a castle in Spain. You know, what could be better than that, right? I don't know. I've never lived in a castle in Spain. Maybe it's dark and dreary. But in our imaginations through this song, it's a fun, exciting place, magical place, like Cinderella's castle. Okay, so we can bring that to it, even a jazz interpretation. Can you imagine? Right? As silly as it might seem, if you picture Cinderella in the Disney cartoon with, you know, the fairy godmother sprinkling fairy dust or with a magic wand, and bring that to your music. Right? It's text painting, kind of imagining that kind of stuff. It was in the popular culture at that time. People couldn't not think of castles in Spain, you know, in America at least, and think of that kind of magical association, at least when they're singing a song like this or performing a song like this. So the tune is in two halves, sort of a 16-16 format. I play this in the key of C, not B flat. It's in B flat in the real book, but I remember my favorite recording of this, which I haven't heard in a long time and I can't find it on the internet, but maybe you can. It was with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, but it's not the earlier ones. It's not the one with, I believe Keith Jarrett did it on Buttercorn Lady. It's not that or an earlier one. It's with James Williams playing piano. It was on an album when Wynton Marsalis and Bobby Watson on sax and James Williams on piano, when they were in the Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, in the early 80s, somewhere around there. And it's before Wynton got really, really famous. He was like this new kid who was just really incredible, right? Before he got his own group in Jazz Lincoln Center, he played with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers. And it's on that album. I can't remember the name because it's on an old cassette tape that's buried in my office in some cardboard box. a shoebox, but it's there. James Williams played, they played it as a trio, just without the horns, and James Williams played it in the key of C. And I wish I had asked him. I was on an airplane with him when I was Jerry Mulligan's band assistant. We were flying from Nice to somewhere, I forget, Nice in France, after Dizzy's band and Jerry's band both played a jazz festival there, and we shared a small plane. It was just basically Dizzy's band and Jerry Mulligan's band, and I sat next to James Williams. I did say hi and that I was a fan. I wish I'd asked him why they played it in the key of C instead of B flat. It was pretty much his choice, right, being the pianist in a trio situation. I do remember I was so taken when sitting next to one of my musical idols. I'd been reading this long novel by Ayn Rand called The Fountainhead. I was about halfway through, and I left it in the little, sleeve in the seat in front of me, the little storage sleeve. And I've never finished the book, but I do remember it's because I was sitting next to James Newton. It was just so, I was in awe. It's incredible. I listened to that album so many times. He did it in C. I think maybe because when you play it in C, even though it's only a step higher than B flat, when you play it in B flat, the voicings get just a tiny bit low in the left hand. In C, listen. They just bring them up a little more towards middle C and above middle C. They're not quite as low, some of those lower voicings, but that's just my theory. Slightly brighter key, but B flat works really well, and most people play it in B flat. When I play it with horn players, it's always in B flat, but when I play it as a trio or solo, I usually play it in C. So I'm going to play it in C today. I've also been thinking of my old piano teacher, Billy Taylor, a lot, and just kind of that ebullience he had at that medium tempo. And I'm going to start out with a very typical type of intro that I learned from him, and I used to use this all the time in big band arrangements, where you just start with 4 bars on the pedal of the 5 chord. So in key of C, it would be a G, and you just take a voicing and you plane it up. You just play that voicing or something similar, and you just go. Not so worried, is this an E and that an F, blah, blah, blah. I'm just starting on, in this case, I don't know what I'll do, but I'm like, that was D minor 7 over G, and then I just went up pretty much parallel, whatever the voicing was, but you can do different things. You go, just a nice, exciting way to build a tune. At the end, the last couple measures, tend to go up a half step, then back down. I don't know, maybe I'll start at the ending with the sharp 4, half diminished, going down by half steps. Pretty typical, nice ending too. I don't know, I'm thinking of Billy Taylor, just a wonderful kind of mainstream jazz style, and classic trio, and I'm kind of translating it here to solo piano. So here you go. Check it out, and then take what you can from it, and learn the tune in C if you want a little challenge too, right? In a way, it's easier than B flat because we know C better. But the transpose might be a challenge and certainly help you understand the tune. Here we go, 4 bars starting on a pedal tone G. Yeah, maybe that last chord is kind of like the castles in Spain I was talking about. Just kind of a nice bright ding, or you know, Cinderella's fairy godmother with the magic dust or something like that, whatever. But very mainstream, fun jazz piano trio solo interpretation of the tune. Thanks for joining me here. I'm loving this process of going through the whole real book. It's forcing me to confront, well, play tunes that I've known for decades and also learn new tunes like the Ornette Coleman tunes that everybody avoids, because who plays Ornette Coleman on piano, right? It's forcing us to sort of dive into those and check them out, right? Grow as musicians. So thanks again. If you're interested in my video course, I've got over 300 lessons, most of them jazz, take you from very beginning level all the way to the advanced. There's stuff in 4-part jazz counterpoint, different topics to really stretch you and share what I've learned from people like Billy Taylor. As always, enjoy the journey, let the music flow, and good luck with your piano playing.